Ever say yes, then instantly regret it? You're smiling on the outside, but inside, you're mentally canceling plans, rearranging your life and screaming, "Why did I agree to this?" Yeah, you're not alone. So let's talk about why saying no feels like emotional open-heart surgery for some of us. You're not just turning down a favor, you're basically risking exile from the tribe. At least that's what your brain thinks is happening. Blame it on evolution. Back when we lived in caves, and your survival hinged on not being the weirdo who refused to share firewood, going against the group could mean actual death. Fast forward to today, and that ancient software is still running. When you say no, your amygdala, the part of the brain that freaks out over threats, goes into panic mode. Alert, you might upset Karen from HR, but the threat isn't real. It's just your nervous system confusing rejection with danger. And your prefrontal cortex, the smart, rational decision maker upstairs, often gets overpowered by this fear response. That's why so many of us default to yes, even when we're exhausted, annoyed, or completely overbooked. We associate saying no with being rude, selfish, or unreliable. It's not just about the task. We're protecting our identity as someone who's helpful, likable, easygoing. This is the root of chronic people-pleasing. You're not broken. You're biologically wired for connection. But the irony? Saying yes to everything usually disconnects you from the person who matters most, yourself. Understanding this isn't about blaming your brain. It's about outsmarting it. Once you know what's really going on, you can start to retrain those instincts and stop sacrificing your sanity for the sake of politeness. All right, now that we know your brain thinks saying no is a life-threatening event, let's meet the woman who politely tells your amygdala to sit down and chill, Mel Robbins. If your inner voice sounds like a confused intern trying to make everyone happy, Mel is that no-nonsense boss who walks in, sips her coffee, and says, "Nope, that's not your job." One of her core teachings? You've got to separate the decision from the emotion. Seems obvious, right? But in practice, most of us mix them together, like emotional soup. You get a request. Maybe your cousin wants you to help her move her entire apartment for the third time this year, and immediately, the guilt kicks in. You picture her lifting boxes all alone, maybe a single tear rolling down her cheek, and boom, you're already halfway to buying packing tape. But here's the thing. Just because you feel guilty doesn't mean the right answer is yes. Mel says pause, literally. Before you respond, check in and ask, what's the right decision for me right now? Not what's polite, or what avoids awkwardness, or what earns a gold star in the imaginary people-pleaser Olympics. Just, is this the right thing for me? That one question can save you from a lot of regret and resentment. And no, this doesn't make you selfish. It makes you someone who values their time, energy, and mental bandwidth. Think of it like emotional budgeting. You can't keep handing out all your energy like Halloween candy and then wonder why you're burned out and hiding in the pantry by November. Mel's kind of clarity, it's not just refreshing, it's freedom. Now let's talk about what might be Mel Robbins' most viral brain hack ever, the 5-second rule. No, this isn't the one where you pretend your French fry is still edible because it hit the floor for just 4 seconds. This one's actually backed by neuroscience and doesn't involve dirt or regret. Here's how it works. The moment you feel that inner panic rising, when someone asks, "Can you just take over this one tiny project?" and your mouth is halfway to saying yes, you silently count backward. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That countdown interrupts the emotional chaos and snaps your brain out of autopilot. It's like a psychological mic drop. Your prefrontal cortex takes back control from your over-caffeinated people-pleaser reflex, and suddenly you have enough clarity to think, wait a minute, why am I the one always folding the chairs after everyone leaves? It sounds simple because it is, but it's also surprisingly effective. The countdown works like a reset button for your nervous system. Instead of reacting from guilt, panic, or your deeply ingrained be nice or die programming, you respond from intention. Robbins swears by it, and so do countless people who've used it to stop apologizing for having boundaries. And look, you don't have to say no like you're slamming a gavel in court. You can say it softly, firmly, and still sound like a decent human. But that moment, those 5 seconds, give you the power to decide rather than default. Because the truth is, most of us don't need a 3-hour masterclass in assertiveness. We just need 5 seconds of courage to break the old cycle and speak from self-respect not stress. Robbins gave us the countdown. Now it's just about using it before your mouth betrays your soul. All right, let's talk about guilt. That clingy, emotional roommate who always shows up when you're about to choose yourself. You know the one. You finally decide to skip your neighbor's dog's birthday party because, shocker, you're exhausted. And boom, guilt's at the door like, wow, so we're just selfish now? Cue the spiral. But Mel Robbins wants you to know something radical. Guilt is often just a false alarm. It's your brain freaking out over violating a rule you didn't even agree to. Like when your internal programming says good moms bake cupcakes for every school event, even if you're already working a 50-hour week and haven't slept properly since 2019. So you say yes again, not because it's right, but because the thought of disappointing someone makes your insides curl into a guilt pretzel. Robbins says to pause and examine that guilt. Ask, did I actually do something wrong, or did I just not meet someone else's expectation? 9 times out of 10, you'll realize you're not a villain. You're just a human trying to have a life that doesn't run entirely on obligation. And guess what? That woman who felt bad for not baking those cupcakes, she tried something new. She said no, kindly, clearly, no frills. Just, I can't help this time, but I hope it goes well, and the world didn't end. No riots, no PTA pitchforks, just peace. Mel calls this the growth guilt, the discomfort that shows up not because you did something wrong, but because you're breaking patterns that no longer serve you. Think of guilt not as a signal to cave, but a signpost that says, hey, you're growing out of your old people-pleasing pants. And honestly, they never fit that well anyway. Let's talk about one of Mel Robbins' juiciest truth bombs. A yes soaked in resentment is way more toxic than a clear, honest no. She calls it a contaminated yes. Sounds gross, right? That's because it is. It's like accepting a dinner invite and then silently hoping the host cancels because you'd rather eat leftover noodles in peace. You're technically saying yes, but emotionally, you're halfway out the door, clutching your Tupperware. The problem is, these contaminated yeses don't just quietly disappear. They build, they brew, they turn into snappy texts, passive-aggressive sighs, or you rage-folding laundry while muttering, why am I always the one who does everything? Sound familiar? Mel's advice? Stop giving out yeses like free samples at Costco. A clean no, one that's clear, kind, and unapologetic, is far more respectful, not just to you, but to the other person too. Why? Because nobody wants a favor done with gritted teeth and quiet resentment. That's not helpful. It's emotional landmines with a smile. She suggests phrases that are boundary setting without sounding like you're burning bridges. Try, that's not gonna work for me, or I have to pass on this one. You're not launching a rejection missile. You're simply stating a fact with a polite tone and zero emotional spillage. And here's the plot twist. When you start using clean no's, people begin to trust you more, not less, because your yes actually means something now. You're not a vending machine spitting out agreements. You're a person with a backbone, a calendar, and a working sleep cycle. So the next time someone asks for just a tiny favor, ask yourself, is this a real yes, or is your inner peace about to get bulldozed? Choose accordingly. Think of saying no like going to the gym. The first time you try, everything feels awkward. You don't know where to stand. Your form is questionable, and you're sore in places you didn't know existed. But Mel Robbins swears, the more you flex your no muscle, the stronger it gets. And unlike leg day, this is one workout that directly adds years back to your life. Here's the science behind it. Every time you set a boundary, your brain rewires itself. It's called neuroplasticity, and it's basically your nervous system going, oh, so we're allowed to have limits now? Cool, let me build a whole new route for that. Robbins compares this to identity work. You're not just refusing a task, you're reshaping how you see yourself. You stop being the human doormat and start becoming someone who protects their time like it's Wi-Fi during a family reunion. One of her go-to tools is the planned number. This is where you decide your boundaries before life throws a curveball. Example, you make Sundays sacred. No work, no errands, no Karen from accounts asking for a quick 5-minute Zoom. That way, when a request comes in, you're not scrambling. You're enforcing a personal policy. No drama, no guilt. Robbins also loves what linguists call identity statements, saying I don't instead of I can't. Like, I don't take calls after 8 p.m. It sounds grounded, non-negotiable, because can't invites discussion. Don't ends it. Over time, this practice adds up. You stop apologizing for taking care of yourself. You become more decisive, more confident, and, let's be real, a lot more peaceful. Your no becomes your filter, your shield, your compass. And once you feel how good that clarity is, you'll wonder why you ever whispered yes through gritted teeth in the first place. Now, just when you think you've mastered the art of saying no, life hits you with the advanced level. Family dinners, micromanaging bosses, and the eternal siren call of, what if I miss out? Welcome to the trickier terrain of boundaries, where politeness, hierarchy, and deep-rooted fear of exclusion try to override your sanity. First, let's talk culture. In collectivist families or tight-knit communities, saying no can feel like you're insulting your grandmother and dishonoring the ancestors. Robbins doesn't pretend this is easy, but she suggests starting small, subtle, soft shifts. Instead of a blunt refusal, try, let me think about that, or I've got something else lined up. Translation, you're saying no without storming the family WhatsApp group. Now cue the workplace. Power dynamics make boundary setting feel like a game of Jenga. One wrong move and everything might collapse. But Robbins has a strategy: assert without attitude. It's not about slamming your desk and shouting, I have rights. It's about phrases like, I'm at capacity right now, or can we prioritize this next week? You're drawing a line without starting a turf war. And then there's FOMO, the fear that if you skip something, you'll vanish into social oblivion. Robbins flips that idea on its head. She says, ask yourself, am I afraid of missing the moment or missing people's approval? Spoiler, it's usually the second one. But when you start prioritizing your peace over applause, something magical happens. You realize you don't need to be everywhere, please everyone, or do everything. You just need to be aligned with your energy, your time, your values. So whether it's your overly involved aunt, your team lead, or that fun event you'd secretly rather skip, your no is not rebellion. It's alignment. Say it with grace, and you'll start living on your terms, not everyone else's calendar. So here's the truth bomb Mel Robbins leaves us with. Every no is also a yes. When you say no to overcommitting, you're saying yes to rest. When you say no to fake urgency, you're saying yes to focus. When you say no to pleasing everyone else, you're saying yes to finally showing up for you. It's not about becoming cold or unhelpful, it's about becoming intentional. Robbins doesn't hand you magic words. She gives you tools to reclaim your time, your peace, and your power. From the 5-second rule to guilt reframes, from identity-based language to mental rehearsals, this isn't self-help fluff. It's a boundary boot camp. And now it's your turn. Pick one situation this week where you usually say yes out of guilt or habit. Pause, count backwards. Listen to what you actually want, then say no. Clean, kind, and confident. No over-explaining, no backpedaling. Just your truth, delivered like a grown adult with a calendar and a nervous system. Try it once, then come back here and tell us in the comments. What did you say no to, and what did you gain in return? Because when your no gets clearer, your life gets lighter.